Hello everyone and welcome back to Bhanzu classes. So I hope all of you are doing wonderful and excited for today's session. So today we are going to draw something interesting and that is bar graphs. So where all do we use bar graphs and how do we draw them? What are its different types? All that is what we are going to cover in today's session. But before we move ahead, what did we learn in the previous session? We were talking about representative values, right? What we discussed was mode and median. What is mode? Right? The observation that occurs more often, which keeps on coming frequently in the data given. And what is median? The observation which lies in the middle of the data. Right? When it's arranged in ascending order or descending order, you will get to know what's in the middle. So that is how we find out this. Right? So till now we have covered all the three representative values, that is mean, mode and median. Today, let's talk about a new interesting concept, that is bar graphs. How do we draw bar graph and how do we draw double bar graph? What is double bar graph? Why is it required? You might be thinking on it, right? But don't worry, we'll be doing very soon in the session today. Let's start with what is a bar graph? Why do we draw it? So whenever we have large data, right? So that data needs to be converted into frequency distribution table first, and based on that we draw the bar graph. This is how a bar graph looks like, and a bar graph always has bars of uniform width and varying heights. How does the height vary? Because of the value of each bar, which would be given in the question to us, which would be given in the data to us, right? So let's move ahead and see the different types of bar graph you can have. So we are going to talk about a bar graph, right? And also we are going to learn how do we draw a double bar graph. So these are the two different types of bar graphs you are going to learn today, right? Yes. So let's move ahead and see what are the two different other types. So we can also have a vertical bar graph. So till now whatever graphs you have seen, they were vertically drawn. And another one is horizontal bar graph, right? So everybody is clear with the different types of graphs? Vertical bar graph and horizontal bar graph. Okay. So now let's see how does a bar graph look like. A complete bar graph. But there are so many things in it. How do we draw it, ma'am? How come we label them so much? Don't worry, I am there to tell you today each and everything, starting with step by step. So first thing what we are going to have is the title. What is the title? The data for which you are drawing the bar graph. It's always given in the question, right? Then we have axis, right? Y-axis and x-axis. Got it? These are the two different lines where we draw our graph. And wherever these two axes meet each other is called origin, and we also represent it as 0 because we would be starting the numerical values from that, right? After this, we'll label our axes. Once you have drawn the axis, now they should have a name also. So we are going to label them, okay? So here it's number of children and section. It would be different for each and every question according to the data given. Now how do we take these values? Before that you should know how do we choose the scale, right? Scale depends on the values given in the question. So whatever is the highest value given, based on that we choose the scale, so that we do not have to draw a bigger bar graph, right? And then we have numerical values. Based on the scale, we put the numerical values, okay? So in this data, the highest value was 45. So if you take a gap of 10, we are drawing till 50 because after 45, what's the next multiple of 10? It's 50. Then we are going to write the categorical data which is represented on x-axis. And in this bar graph, it's the sections. For class 5, what are the different sections, right? Then we draw the bars. And when we draw the bars according to the data given, we should always know that the width of the bars is equal and the distance taken between them should also be equal. Then only your bar graph would be correct and it would look neat. Got it, everyone? Did you recognize the steps one by one? Number the steps. The first one is title. Then we choose the axis, and in axis, X is also the axis. You have to mark both of them after drawing with pencil and scale. Then we label them. After labeling, we choose the scale. After scale, we draw the numerical values. After drawing the numerical values, we write the categorical data. Then we draw the bars, and in bars, we need to take care of that the width should be equal and the distance between two bars should also be equal. So these are actually not the steps. These are the important points to be kept in mind while drawing the bars. Right? Great. So now let's move ahead and do one particular interesting thing, that how do you find mode from a bar graph? What was mode? The value which occurs the most. And in this particular case, how do we get to know that? The bar with the highest height, right? The greatest height. So this is color is going till the top. So over here in this particular question, this is the mode, right? Interesting fact. How do we relate mode and bar graph? How can we find mode from a bar graph? Right? So now let's draw a bar graph together given for this question. So there are 200 students of 6th and 7th class, and they were asked their favorite colors. Okay, and based on their favorite colors, we are going to decide the color of the school building. They are telling the favorite color for that purpose only. Okay, so number of students for different classes, right? Number of students for different colors out of these two classes are given to us. So few students said red, few said green, few said blue, yellow and orange. These were the 5 different colors we got. Now let's draw a bar graph for it. Recall the steps which I have just explained you, right? We are going to go number by number. First thing, you should always give the title to it, okay? So the title over here is color of school building, right? This is what we are showing in this bar graph. Then next is draw the axis, y-axis and x-axis with a pencil and a scale, and wherever these two axes meet is called your origin O, right? Then we label the axis, number of students and the color they preferred, right? Then we choose the scale. So here is the data given to you. What's the highest frequency given? It's 55. If I take a gap of 10, what's the next multiple? It's 60. So we are going to draw till 60. Taking a gap of equal distance in 6 distant points to go from 0 to 60. Then we draw, then we label the categorical data after drawing the numerical values, and last but not the least, we draw the bar graphs. So red is 43, so we'll take a gap of 1 centimeter. You can take a gap of 1 centimeter if you are drawing on a pencil or a notebook, and if you are drawing on bar graphs, which we should do in our graph book, there the gaps are already given, right? You can see the gaps. So starting with pencil, go till 43 with the pencil and a scale. Take a gap of 1 centimeter, come down, or you can also take less than 1 or more than 1. Then stop. Take again a gap of 1 centimeter. So whatever gap you are taking over here, it should be same, and whatever gap you are taking over here, this should also be same, right? So you have drawn till red, now come to green. Take till 19, come back down, take this equal gap what you have taken over here. Again go till 55 for blue color and come back. Always using a scale, okay? Then take a gap of 1 centimeter, go up, 49 for yellow color, come back. Again go up, orange 34 and come back. So this is how you will get your complete bar graph in front of you for the data given to you, right? And here if somebody asks you what the mode, you will be saying 55. Yeah? Great. So let's move ahead and see how to draw a double bar graph. But before we move to a double bar graph, what is a double bar graph? Why it is needed? Yes, a double bar graph is where you show two different data in one bar graph only. And why it is required? It is required to compare two collections of data. So this is required, right? So here in this particular bar graph you can see the title says favorite sports, and these are two different data which we are drawing, two sets of data for colony 1 and colony 2, right? So over here you will see cricket is going till 62 for colony 1, which is represented in blue color. Then you have orange color for this. Then again take a equal gap, go for football according to the numbers given, and choose the scale also according to the number of people given for each sports for two different colonies, right? Now let's move ahead and do a question for it. So this data is for a particular set of years, that is 1995 to 1998. You have two different types of books, English and Hindi. You have to draw a double bar graph for it, because in every year we have sold different number of English and Hindi books. Then they are also asking you, in which year was the difference in the sale of two language books the least? That we will show when we are able to draw the double bar graph. So first step is to draw the double bar graph, right? So let's start with our bar graph. So this is how it would look. So let's start step by step, okay? The first one was title. So what can you give the title as? Sale of language books. Right? There are two different language books what we are selling over here. The next was draw the y-axis and x-axis. Label the axis. So this is number of books sold. Right? For English as well as Hindi. Then we have labeled year over here. Then take the scale, 100 books. Why? Why we are taking 1 unit is equals to 100 books? See the numbers given. They are bigger numbers. Multiples of 100 also. Right? 400, 600 and all, 500. So if you take a gap of 100, it would be easy for us. And because the highest value is 650, so we are going till 700. Right? Starting from 0, take equal gap of distance between 0 to 100, 100 to 200 and go till 700. Then take it for x-axis. X-axis what we are going to represent is years. 1995, 1996, 97, 98. Taking equal gaps, first take a gap and start for English books for 1995, and before that do not forget to choose the colors, because it's a double bar graph. How will anybody know that what color you have chosen? So you need to write the key for it. Okay? So draw the English, then Hindi, take a gap of equal distance what you have chosen in the beginning, right? So this gap should be equal. Then go up 400 for English, 525 for Hindi, come back down. Again take a gap of 1 centimeter. Go up till 450, 600, come back down. Go till 620, 650, come back down. And then your bar graph is done. Your double bar graph is done. Now they were asking you in which year the sale of books between Hindi books and English books was the least, the minimum. See the gap over here? It's the minimum in 1998. Here the gap is more, here also the gap is more, here also it's more. So in 1998, the difference between the books was the least. Which books? The two different language books, English books and Hindi books. So I hope everybody has understood about bar graph, how do we draw a double bar graph and what's the need for it, right? So let's summarize what all we had covered. We had covered in today's session about bar graphs. How do we draw bar graphs and how do we draw double bar graphs? And what are the steps to be followed? So first of all, we always give the title to our graph. Then we draw the axis. Then we label the axis. Then we choose a particular scale according to the values given in the question. Then we draw the numerical values on y-axis, do the categorical data on x-axis, start drawing the bars, and when we draw the bars, do not forget to keep in mind that the width of each bar should be equal and the distance between two bars should also be equal always. And the most important thing, always use a pencil and a scale. right? So I hope everybody has enjoyed this chapter, the topics what we had covered. What is data? How do we handle data? The different types of representative values, mean, mode, median, and also bar graphs. So what are we going to do in the next session? Yes, we are going to do practice question on all these topics. So come prepared, do watch all the sessions. Until then, keep exploring, keep practicing and spark your curiosity. Bye-bye.